6:30 now. Right. Namaste, namaskara. A very warm welcome to all of you for this for the Spiral of Wisdom Satsang, the deeply respected and loved Ma Manize. So before we start off, may I request Naidu Garu, me
Yes.
audio off chain.
Ramesh, I am able to.
Thank you. Ade ippude chestiri. Thank you, Andy. Yes. So before we start off, I request. I think there is another person whose audio is. Just a moment. Let me just check.
Yes, I'm muting everyone,
I
sir.
can hear somebody else. Thank you, Swati. Yeah, keep me on. Yeah, please mute everybody and keep me on.
Sure, sure.
Yes, that sounds better. Right. So thank you very much. Now, before we start off, may I request Swati to say the school prayer.
Good evening, everyone. O hidden light, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati. So we are really that hidden light shining in every creature, the soul that is all interconnected. So as speakers, when we come together, let us connect with our own higher selves through this Guru Mantra so that we all experience the best that we have to take away the best value into our lives from the satsang today. Guru, before I start, please sit straight with your back, neck, and head aligned, because we're going to transit into our inner world from all the experiences that we've had during the day. So please sit straight with your back, neck, and head aligned. Take a nice deep breath. And let go. Observe the silence within as each one of us connects with our higher self. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Thank you. Thank you for connecting with your own inner self, your higher self. Now, in this beautiful space, I'd like to introduce our wonderful speaker today, Dr. Poonam. Dr. Poonam is special because she really speaks from her experience, which is a very powerful way to share one's personal growth. Because you've actually gone through the grind, and there's nothing more powerful than a person who experiences and lives that truth through honest self-discovery. Poonamji is a dedicated professional with a diverse academic background, holding degrees in BHMS, that is a Bachelor of Homeopathy, Homeopathic Medicine and Surgery, a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and an MBA. She served in the government sector for over a decade, where she gained invaluable experience in administration and public service. However, driven by a deep inner calling and a passion for human well-being, she transitioned into a field of mental health and holistic healing. Her journey reflects a profound commitment to understanding the mind-body connection and supporting emotional wellness. Over the past 3 years, Dr. Poonam has been working extensively with individuals navigating trauma and emotional challenges, of which we'll find plenty around us. She is certified in a wide range of healing modalities, including neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, emotional freedom technique, EFT, inner child healing, chakra healing, meditation, ancestral healing, and Reiki. Her integrative approach blends scientific knowledge with spiritual and energy-based practices, creating a safe and transformative space for her clients. With a compassionate and intuitive style, Dr. Poonam empowers people to heal deeply, reconnect with themselves, and learn and lead more fulfilling lives. It's really amazing, Poonamji. This is really the need of the hour. In fact, it is the need of the hour for all of us to, be inspired by such wonderful people and ourselves become that shining light, because society needs lots of shining lights like this at the moment. The world is going through a transition phase. A wonderful new era is coming, but before it comes, we have to make it happen. And by emulating people like Poonamji, I think we can all become a better human being every day. So without much more ado, over to Poonamji. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Thank you so much. Such a wonderful introduction, sir, you have given me. And I'm so grateful for this beautiful platform. And it's my divine calling also. And maybe because of this universal force, I would love to serve more and more such people in my lifetime. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And thank you everyone for your precious time that everyone is giving to me. And I hope to give some valuable information which may help them in present and future also. I think some person is muted. This is,
May I request? May I request Samsung SM?
I think
Anam
Samsung.
Samsung ji.
Yeah. I
Thank you.
think I have muted. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry for
And
the
before we-
disturbances.
Before we continue, I must also add that I won't be here to host the entire program. Swati ji will be closing it, but I'm here with you all in spirit. It's because we have to also go elsewhere as a family, which is why I'm only available for the first half. But I'm really happy that I'm here at least for the beginning of the program today.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm so grateful that you have started with such a wonderful and beautiful words. And I hope maybe next time we'll have your gracious presence over the whole session. Okay. And okay, I'll start. And I think Swati has made me co-host, so I'll share a presentation. Yeah, share screen. Are you, sir, are you able to see the
Yes.
screen, and as well as my voice is audible, clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll start the slideshow.
Yes, please.
Welcome everyone to this beautiful evening. And today my topic is emotional well-being. That is journey from childhood to adulthood. It is a very vast topic because it includes a lot of our experiences and feelings over the time we see. So definitely a short time is not enough, but I would have tried my best to incorporate whatever I can through my experiences and learnings. So I hope I'll be able to do justice with it. Okay, I'll start. First of all, if we talk about in today's time, physical health is becoming more and more important. People are now giving attention to their bodies. Many of our beautiful ancient things like yoga and Ayurveda again started with a big boom. And I'm very happy about it. And also regarding mental health also, people are getting aware, they are understanding like what are the things going on. But somehow this concept of emotional health, I would say, is little bit still understated. And today I would like to maximum highlight whatever I can do in this presentation. So first of all, I would like you to understand basically what is the meaning of emotional health or what it is all about. So emotional health refers to your ability to recognize, manage, acknowledge, and express your emotions feelings which may be negative or positive. I would like to emphasize on the words recognize, because sometimes we are not able to understand and not able to even define how we are feeling. Manage, we don't know how to process it, how to tag it, name it, and how to process it. Acknowledge, sometimes we are in the denial mood. We don't want to acknowledge our feelings, that whether am I feeling sad, angry, frustrated. What am I feeling? Sometimes I don't want to acknowledge it. And express. The most and the foremost part is expression. You're able to convey exactly what you are feeling. So that refers to the all in all emotional health. For example, you said something to me, whatever it's which is not at all acceptable to me, and I feel bad. So this is the kind of an emotion I feel. Somebody said, triggered, and I feel bad. So that's an emotional response I do it. And how it is different from mental health, because mental health is a very big, it's like an umbrella, and emotional health is a part of it. So my slides are visible now. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. So if we talk about mental health is a very, very big umbrella. Under it comes behavior, decision making, cognitive abilities that able to analyze and understand, learnings, disorders. So a person which can be mentally healthy, if I were to name somebody, it is coming to me. He or she is able to learn, understand, make decisions. So we cannot say the person is, emotionally healthy. The person will be mentally healthy. But a person who is mentally healthy can be not very much good in EQ, emotional quotient, or emotional intelligence, because he is not able to acknowledge, not aware, and not able to express his or her own emotions. That is low on emotional intelligence. So when a person is mentally healthy, we cannot say the person is emotionally healthy. So this is a little bit thin line, which has been a difference to it. So that's how a mental health is different from emotional health, although emotional health is a part of a mental health. Nowadays and earlier also, but of course now we are more aware because of all that social media and a lot of learnings thing. Emotional health is still so much overlooked, ignored, basically ignored generally. So emotional health, it involves a concept of self-awareness. As I said, that if I'm aware of my feelings, how am I feeling? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling bad? What am I feeling exactly? So that self-awareness, it involves, it's a concept of emotional health. Self-regulation. I don't know how to regulate my emotions. For example, if a person say anything to me and I get triggered, and I started, throwing things around. So I don't know how to regulate my emotions. I do whatever I can do. Or this is my reaction, that fit of a moment. So when I'm emotionally healthy, so I will regulate it properly. Might take a pause, go out from that situation and think and rethink and then behave. Because at the end, our consequences in that fit is not controlled. And later on, we might regret. So it comes the concept of self-awareness, self-regulation, and the people are not aware of their own emotional health. People don't know, even they don't know that they are suffering and they require help, genuine help. Even why it is so? Because sometimes stigma is also attached, which deter an individual to seek help, especially if he or she wants to go for therapy or a counseling. Sometimes it's treated as a failure. If I would give you my personal experiences over this, I've been treating people. And, one young girl, maybe like I think she's 20 to 24. She was literally suffering and she has a lot of emotional breakdowns and a lot of traumas, childhood traumas. So she narrated to me that, very sincerely and very, very desperately, she wanted help. And she even talked about this to her parents and they rejected right away. You seems okay. You're eating well, you're doing well, you're good at studies. That means you don't have any issue. You are not ill. Then why you want to go to a therapist or a counselor? So it make her, so much feel bad because she desperately wanted the help and she was on the verge of committing suicide. But because maybe she has still make herself so much expressed, then the parents said, okay, fine, take help. And then she came to me. So therapy and counseling still are taboo. And always there is that kind of stigma that family brews around the person feel it, oh, I'm failure. If I'm going for the therapy and counseling, that means I am a failure. Also, approaching the right professional is the key. Also, like, we have so many people around, professionally qualified, not qualified. Even I would sad to say there are quacks in the industry, too much. That a person ultimately lands up to a wrong person, which instead of making it relaxed, triggered the person. So the person didn't got the result, and at the end it suffered a thinking, oh, that therapy or counseling didn't help. So that is also a kind of an issue. What about good emotional health? What exactly it is? So good emotional health helps in expressing and acknowledging our feelings in a better way. In today's competitive world, when everyone trying to fit in some or the other way, maybe in the societal norms, okay, I'm in this, so I need to behave in a certain way. Family setup, sometimes you don't want, but still you have to undergo that family setup, that name, certain lifestyle. If I am into this, maybe this glamour or fashion industry, so I need to maintain a certain lifestyle, even at the time of Corona. If everyone remembers, we have seen lot of suicides, especially from the television industry and the acting community. Why? Because they have been so much over that lifestyle. It was so expensive, of course, living there, renting, and everyday new clothes. So they have become so much under the depth because of the Corona. Like, everything was shut down. There was no serial happening. There was no film going on. So because of all the things, because of that mental trauma, that emotional outburst, they don't know what to do. So they end up taking that suicidal attempt. So because of the fitting into that certain lifestyle, friend circle, we tend to accumulate a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. We feel frustrated as a lot of emotional suppression happens. Because we don't know how to process it. We don't know how to express it. So we keep suppressing it. And sometimes it happens awareness. I know I am suppressing my emotions, but sometimes unknowingly it happens. I don't know. I might be suppressing my emotions so badly that I'm not aware that I'm affecting my physical health also. Over the time, even the researchers have established that many of your physical ailments have been linked to your emotional health. For example, I give you a very normal example. Like, if you have anxiety and stress, suppose you are coming from a presentation or maybe a school act or a skit or a drama, or you need to speak into big corporate people, the person tend to suffer a lot of diarrhea and all, and then so that is how your mental thing, your emotional thing, it relates to your physical health also. Also, in the case of many skin diseases, especially in the cases of urticaria, it has been linked that the person in the past have suppressed a lot of emotions, which resulted in those skin ailments. So this is the effect of suppressing your emotional health. So now I would take you a walk through different phases of life. Each phase is very big. I try to maximum incorporate in that small time frame. So I hope I'll be able to do justice. So how we deal it with different areas of life. We start from at the very starting, where a child is born. That is 0 to 12 years. I can explain it very nicely because I am a mother of a child of 2-year-old. So I have been there. I have, suffered the night and long and all that emotional outbursts, and still undergoing a very beautiful experience. So early childhood, that is basically 0 to 4 years, as we say, there is a lot of neural pathways formation are going on, because a child brain is so active. Even we advise people not to, give them this screen time, because lot of instant that scrolling happen and lot of dopamine release happen. So child is overstimulated. he or she doesn't know how to control that. And of course, the grasping power is so fast in a child. A lot of learning happen in this stage. This stage is very, very crucial stage. The child is developing, it is understanding various emotion, it is learning how to cope, as everything is new to him or her. If I would say, are you angry? Child doesn't know what does anger means until and unless it see an adult and realize, oh, this is angry, gussa, and this is how my parent or my surrounding person behaving. So, okay, I need to behave in that way. So when I become angry, I need to do this. So that's how child relate by seeing an adult. And whatever we do, child tries to mimic it. It's that same behavior, that emotional reaction. In fact, the exact words child mimic. So parents or the caregivers play a very, very important part in this development of emotional health in childhood. 4 to 12 years of age, then it becomes consolidates, keep on consolidating, because child is still learning. Earlier, he tries to understand what is emotions surrounding a particular thing, how to behave it, how to process it, and then it keeps consolidating. So even at the time of later phases, when somebody say, what is anger? Immediately the files open in the brain, and whatever the child learns since the childhood, it process in that way. So even it is seen in the studies also, and of course, like, working with individuals, when the family atmosphere is not conducive, it is too violent, or like everybody's expressing their anger or frustration in a very loud tone, the child tend to either become over anxious, or over frustrated, over violent, or become under. It suddenly suppress. So that is a total different thing. Either it can go to grade plus or can go to down level. So your surroundings plays a very important role in that childhood development. And now, since the child has consolidated and understand, okay, what this particular emotion is, so now child starts expressing, thinking, analyzing, and more clearly on the basis of experiences or feelings. Here, I again say the role of parent, guardian, and school plays a major role in shaping the personality of child. Of course, nowadays the school thing is happening very early. People are putting their child as early as 1 year or something in daycare and preschools. So most of the time, child in his early stage now start spending on the school. So it plays a very, very important role. So if you are putting your child in certain school or maybe play school, so you need to first understand that what kind of environment is there in that school. Or if I would say, you need to talk to the teachers also, and you need to understand like how they are reacting on particular things. Child here start developing the self-esteem concept. And here the confidence of the child start building up. What are the common emotional challenges? Separation anxiety, big time. If I would say, when a child is born, it is said that in the initial few hours, they try to put the child with the mother. Why? Because this is the concept of rooming in, so that the child develop the bond with the mother, and the child get all that emotional support and the love from the mother. So that's the concept of rooming in, which start with a very starting a stage of the childhood. So separation anxiety happens. It happens when a child has been separated from its parents or caregivers. Sometime it is can be very unfortunate, because either the parent, one of the parent or both of them are not there. Maybe some accident happen or loss of life happen, or maybe somewhere it has been seen that very early, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 year, the child has been moved to a different city, or maybe the parents get transferred and all. So whenever this thing happen, I just advise people to become very cautious, because now the child which has developed the bonds around, then again he or she has to start from the beginning. So here the separation anxiety, it becomes too much. And of course, when the child has been transferred to a hostel or a relative, or maybe if the child is living in a village, it has been gone to the town or a city to get a better education. People do that as early as even 3-year-old. I have seen 3 or 4-year-old. So here, if this thing has not been taken care of, if child is not able to make connections, so in later life, it has been seen and observed. And of course, with my experience, I have seen people saying to me that they still suffer from that anxiety, separation anxiety and dependency. And in future, when it happens with their partners also, it tends to feel lot of anxiety that some might not, get separate, make them separate from us, even in the friendship also. So that anxiety and dependency, it happens. And also lot of this which result to low self-esteem and lot of self-doubt. Why it happens that if the child is not able to fit into that group of friends, so child suddenly feel loneliness, and it doubts about there's something wrong with me, that I'm not able to gel with other people. So this is a very, very big thing, that separation anxiety. Of course, bullying big time leads to childhood trauma, which later results to social anxiety. The child doesn't want to stand in front of people. Of course, stage fright and all is a part of it, but most of the time, there's a altogether different story. Bullying happens in the school, and here the teacher has to be taken into very much in confident. Teacher need to understand, because the intervention of teacher and of course parents, understand your child, I would say always. When the child is coming and you can see some kind of behavior change, do observe and intervene right there. So if that bullying thing is not taken care at that stage, so it leads to the childhood traumas, which lead to the social anxiety and phobias. I have seen that a lot of bipolar disorders and all. Of course, when we go to that inner child healing and we, go through meditations, and then the person understand, okay, why these things happen, and the probing happen. Those in that bullying thing come out as a major role.
Hello.
I think somebody has been. I'll mute. Okay.
Yeah, Arunji, I think he has to go on mute. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think I've muted. Okay, thank you. So, also peer pressure, big time affects a child. Even may hamper his or her overall growth. Peer pressure is a very, very big thing. It's a very, very big thing. Even I would not even sometimes blame parents also, because unknowingly they do it. Even in today's competitive time, as small as a child of 2 or 3 years, because 3 years they've started putting in the preschool and all, and there also matter that child is performing, you're not performing. That child is saying poems and ABCD and you are not doing it. So this peer pressure, it plays a very, very big time effect in the child. Okay, thank you, Ramesh sir. Thank you. It's been a wonderful opportunity with you being there. I'm so grateful to you. Okay, and happy journey, sir. Okay, so this is what about peer pressure. Now, another big thing, comparisons. Comparison lead to frustration in the child. Even it leads to suppression of the emotions, resulting in low self-esteem, self-doubt, or even suicidal tendencies. Because when we say, even with just jokingly also, ki, oh, see, that you are not eating, a very small example, even sometime unknowingly I also do that, but immediately I realize, oh, what am I doing with this thing? We can tend to say, oh, you're not eating. See, this or that of your friend, she's eating, that child is eating, the child is behaving so nicely, you are hitting others. See, so this comparison, it might lead to this frustration in the child. On even sometimes if he wants to shout or say something and we say, shh, don't do this. See, you are a bad child. That child is good. See how it is behaving with their parents. So it leads to suddenly the suppression of the emotion. The child is not able to express the emotion very nicely, and the later stages, it might result in that low self-esteem, self-doubt, and even the suicidal tendencies. Okay, what can be done? Become like them. I would say, when you're dealing with the child, like as small as these stages, 0 to 12 years, of course, 12 is the today time a little bit big, but just become them. Become the child. I would say, just become the child. Listen to them without judgment. Why we need to keep judging things every now and then? We need to leave that judgment and reaction for the some time. If the child is coming to me and saying, okay, like I have broke by mistakenly, I have broke this. So instead of that suddenly reaction of me getting angry and all that thing, I would take a pause and understand and let the child first explain whatever the child wants to explain, and then I can then sense and understand. So I would say, just listen. Just give them that ear which is required, because mostly we don't give. Otherwise, if you do not give them ear, and nowadays what I have seen, it's in personal observation also, when the child is telling you everything, because for the child, the parents are their world, the grandpa, the grandma, everyone is their world. That family is so beautiful, so precious to them. And they love it. Like, if I would say, I was the most attached to my grandma and grandpa, I still love them. So for the child, that is their world. And if you do not pay attention to them, so they feel very much neglected, and they won't coming to you again. Even if I would not talk about the child, even the adult also. And when, suppose, for example, if I'm telling something so important to someone, and the person is not paying attention, or is busy scrolling or doing something and saying just ha ha ha, so I feel so bad. So imagine the state of a child. Their mind is so tender, their mind is so susceptible and vulnerable. So next time they won't be telling you anything, and slowly by slowly you are making them away from you. Careful, very careful in front of them. They are mimicking you, they are modeling you. The way you behave, the way you talk, the way you give your reaction, they are imbibing everything as it is. No filters. As it is, they are taking everything. And even if I would say an example, if somebody says to the child, ki acha, somebody's at the door and I don't want to talk. Yeah, suppose the phone is there and I want to talk. So, and suddenly child happens to pick. So I would say, ki, okay, say them that I'm not there. So this is the first lesson. The child is seeing that the parent is present, but it is asking that I'm not there. That means the parent is speaking false. So for them, okay, now this is justified. Okay, the parent is doing. So it is socially acceptable now. So they will imbibe that, okay, saying false is good. So this is how they mimic and model. And later on, when they do something like that, and you scold them, why you have said that, truth is there, you should speak always truth. But we forgot. Maybe some or the other time we have done the same and the child has imbibed that. So we need to be very, very careful. And of course, we need to create a very safe environment for them so that they can confide to us. If as a parent or a caregiver, I'm not listening to them, I'm not understanding them, I'm reacting, I'm doing all the judgment comparisons, why will they come and confide with me? Instead of that, they would, maybe go to their friends, and it can be detrimental that they might move out to some other person who might take advantage of their, kind of naiveness. So at family only, at that level only, we need to, take care of that thing. We need to give them that safe environment so that they can confide within us. Praise them for the effort itself. it's always not it's not always a great thing to say to them, oh, get that 100 out of 100, or become first or second. Of course we need to encourage them to do better, to do something nice, but sometimes we need to understand that the effort itself is a big thing. We should not go into the results and the consequences, because then the next time the child won't be doing that. The child would say, oh, it's all matters about the numbers and the positions. It not how much I tried. It doesn't matter. So always and always praise them for the effort itself. And you trust me, next time the child would fare very well. Because now he or she get that boost. Okay, my parent is understanding me. My family is understanding me. Then comes the biggest, the most vulnerable stage, adolescence, teen, we say 13 to 19. So it's a very, very critical phase. Physically, mentally, emotionally, lot of comparisons happens. And of course, in the teen, we tend to idolize a lot. Very recently, that fad of, Korean K-pop culture is going on. So you can see in the street also a lot of, Korean food started coming in. That Korean healthcare regime is kicking in. People are wearing all that kind of Korean and K-pop clothes. So teen tend to idolize a lot. Example, looks. Most of the teens are very cautious of the kind of they look. That to look in a certain way. They're very conscious of their body images. And in that time, if the things are not being taken care of, then they tend to lose their self-identity and self-expression. And the many and issues of a lot of negative body image, which may lead to lack of self-confidence, lack of self-love, and loneliness starts kicking in because of that. And also, big time here, FOMO happens. FOMO is fear of missing out. It happens big time. And what is this FOMO? What is this fear of missing out? That a person feels that it is not fit to go into that trending zone or that trending friendship groups or maybe, party groups. And the teen feels the kind of isolation. And here, when the teen feels isolation, even the substance abuse kick in. The teen may resort to drugs, may resort to alcohol to subside that FOMO. Peer pressure. Here also, peer pressure plays a big role, because now there is a teen. Now it is giving a lot of entrance exam is happening, a lot of choices of courses, and nowadays, like, a lot of pressure is happening because whatever we experience, the pressure.
Lecture.
I think somebody is, I need to mute. So, here lot of peer pressure happens. Earlier, whatever the peer pressure that at the age of 12 to 15 was happening, now that peer pressure has been come to the stages of even 7 or 8. Like, for example, earlier with giving this entrance of IIT JEE, I would give you an example, very, very normal. We used to, after 12th, like if I would take about my 90s or 2000, so we used to go for the entrance and preparation only after 12th. Nowadays, 8, 9, 7, you are getting the coaching. They are sending to the coaching itself. Preparation of IIT medical starts very, very early stage nowadays. So here, the peer pressure almost double triples. And a lot of judgment happens, which leads to fear of rejection. And here also, as I said, that this will resort to substance abuse. Because also, if I would talk about substance abuse, is a very, very broad topic. Because in substance abuse nowadays, it's not just when you are lonely, you are resorting to alcohol and all. In today's time, it's a fashion. I have seen, like, I live in Metropolis, I live in Delhi, so I can see even very early teens, like 20 and 13, children are having this cigarettes in their hands or beer bottles, because this is what nowadays has been seen, a fashion. And if you are not doing it, that means you are not fitting into our group. And suddenly child has been thrown out for that. So sometime even the child does not want it do under that pressure, at that group pressure, or trying to fit in so that it should not go out and feel lonely about it. Then suppressing or bottling up of emotions, it lot happens, leads to uncontrolled emotional burst. Sometime we see a teen suddenly, throwing things around and all. So, and sometime laughing and then suddenly crying. So this is the kind of uncontrolled emotional burst that we see. It happens due to a lot of suppression or bottling of emotions, because the teen is not able to express whatever it is feeling, or sometime doesn't know even how to express and process those emotions. Here I would say, watch out, parents. As the teen tend to withdraw socially, you can see what are the things, what are the signs which will tell you that there is some issue. So when the teen tend to withdraw socially, you can see the person is sitting isolated in a room, not talking, not even coming for the dinner, lunches, whatever. On the contrary, earlier that same child used to talk, laugh, and suddenly it goes into that isolation. Academic drop, suddenly the low in the marks and everything, mood swings happen. Sometimes the teen is feeling so good, and suddenly it can feel bad. Suddenly the teen can say, oh my God, I have such a bad thing and I am such a bad. There's a lot of guilt if the person does that substance abuse or something. The guilt also started kicking in, and also the feeling of unwanted, as if nobody, you can even observe that teen says, no one likes me, no one misses me, even if I'm not here, no one misses me. Also, there is an appetite change. Either the teen tend to eat less or tend to eat more. Here we can also see that a lot of cases of bulimia happens when the teen, especially the girls, happen that when they have this negative body image, they tend to they tend to cut their food and they become very thin and all. So even if they eat something to show others, they vomit it later on. So bulimia cases also happen, a lot of it. And then there's a sleep pattern change. There is either oversleep or undersleep, and also with that increased chances, self-injury might happen. What can be done? Observation, observation, observation. The biggest thing, we need to first observe the teen. As a parent, as a caregiver, as a family, our first and firstmost thing is to just observe about his patterns, about his behavior, about that emotional outbursts, and then communication. You need to give your ear and a shoulder to teen. Very much important. It doesn't take million cost. Just give your ear and shoulder and the work is done. Communicate, big time communicate, because they desperately might require your help. As I say, even while I growing up, I used to love spending time with my grandparents, and I used to confide in them sometimes, because sometimes you do feel your parents is not listening and that they listen to you. They have time for you. So whether it's grandparents, whether it's family, cousins, or even friends around, just always have that healthy communication. Should never ever block that communication channel. Support system, give them the support system. Even if they won't and you think that you cannot communicate that well, or you are not able to handle that situation, give them the professional help. Seek the counselors. In today's time, like almost every hospitals, every your schools, colleges, they employ counselors. So take that help if it is available, and if not, then go for out and search for it. Because if you give that support system to them, they will flourish it. They will bloom into a very beautiful adulthood. Encouragement, give them that encouragement. Encourage them. Instead of always judging and comparing, just encourage them. Just always praise the effort they have put it. Even if they're not faring well in the studies, just ask them what is their passion, what they want. Sometimes a person is not good at studies, but can, of course, excel in sports or maybe other extracurricular activities. And nowadays, there's a lot more things are available, net also. And just encourage them so that, they can use the maximum of their ability and nourish them. And later on, they also become their profession. First, we need to aware ourselves in handling the teen, that are we aware that the teen is suffering? When we are not ourselves aware, how can we help? We cannot help. So first we need to aware ourselves, and then we need to make aware of that teen, make him or her understand that this is the emotional turmoil you are going through, and if you want, I can help you. So you need to do a lot of self-awareness for them. Give them the opportunity to express themselves freely, with no judgment, with no partiality, with no thinking about the consequences and the outcomes. Just listen to them. And then try, I would say, to include them into a lot of physical activities. Because physically, when the thing is active, it tends to process a lot of the emotions easily. That has been seen in the studies so far. Now, we step into another very, very beautiful phase, that is adulthood. And it ranges from 20s till long 50s, 60s and all. So there is an identity crisis. It do happens a lot in the 20s and the 30s, when the person has just started the professional career. And sometimes out of the peer pressure, maybe in the school and the college, and maybe a lot of comparison, and maybe a lot of fitting into that society, that all are doing engineering, so I'll also do engineering. So the person does, and then when it goes to the another stage, that is in the 20s and 30s, suddenly there is lack of this identity, and the person wonders, what is my purpose? Why I have done this course? Why am I doing this job? It always comes. And here, a person need to understand first that what exactly he or she wanted to do. And if that thing has not been taken care of, then the person tend to feel a lot of comparison from the other peers. Because if that adult person, or the 2030, that person, he or she has done engineering and now is into some kind of IT firms and or something, and then that person might not be interested in that job at all, and that engineering that person has done because of that peer pressure, or maybe fitting into that group and everything. So so he won't feel like doing anything. He will do just like mechanically, so there won't be no interest and all. So every day going to office will feel like a burden. So here a lot of crises happen. I would say it's a quarter life crisis. You don't know what to do. Then running after validation. Oh, people will praise me. Let's do this work. And everybody say, wow, she and he is amazing. So running after validation, it leads to a lot of people pleasing. And I would say I have done that a lot. So I have been in that helm of affairs of course, people pleasing, because, you want that recognition, name and fame, and everybody say, wow, see, the person is amazing. That person has done what a beautiful work. But till how long? I keep on doing. As a result, I'll be overtax myself, overburden myself. And at the end, boom, I get that frustration. And if I don't get that position, if I don't get that praise, I feel frustrated. And if next time people won't praise me, I feel bad. So who is the sufferance? I'll be the sufferer, not the others. So this lot of people pleasing will lead to very, very drained. And of course, it disturbs your work-life balance because of pleasing people or maybe your bosses. You just do work as it is. Keep on doing. So your personal life, if the person is married, family life, if the person is unmarried, his or her own life suffered because the balance is not there. And anywhere when the balance is not there, things maybe go high or low. So there's a lot of feeling of dejection and frustration. Then another big thing, fear of failure, as lot of people expect from you. Of course, when you're performing, doing this and that, and then people start, expecting. And even if not people are expecting, we ourselves start expecting from us. Okay, I have done suppose 100 sales. Now this time I'll do 1,000 sales. And if I happen to do 99.9% of the task, even 0.1% is not, I still feel bad. I still feel dejected. Because now I am not enjoying the process of achieving. I am only considered about the consequences of that sufferance. Then there is a fear of failure. People expect from you a lot, and then you fear to fail. Then also another thing which we express and see in adulthood, relationship issues, where you can have this feeling of loneliness. Because of this, sometime the person might enter into a toxic relationship, or the relationship which is not good for him or her. And when you enter into such kind of relationship, over the time, it becomes very taxing. And suddenly you start feeling loss of identity. With my experience, I have seen a lot this in housewives. Because somehow they started very good. And, with taking all that people pleasing and everything, it goes down, down, down and out. And you feel, for what I am, and what is my identity? Who am I? And when you have that, not expressing your identity, when you don't know what you are, who you are, what you are good at, then you feel lack of self-worth. Yeah, I'm good for nothing. And of course, a big thing, comparison to others' life with my life on social media, trending. Everybody, we see like happy couples, smiling and taking all these videos and pictures. I always say that you don't know the story behind that picture of that smile. They might have fighted just a moment ago. And then after that, they are clicking the pic. You don't know the story behind that. All those filters that has been used, because even as an adult, we tend to see a lot of, others' Instagram profile, Facebook profile and all. And then we used to feel a lot of jealous. Oh my God, they're so happy, and why I'm not happy. But it's not there. There is not rosy and, good things. There might be something which is hiding inside that lens and that filters. So you need to acknowledge it, your life, more than others. So stop comparing. And then when you enter the late adulthood, that is 30 to 60s years, then happens a midlife crisis. What am I doing here? Am I at the right place? And it happened with me also, where I have totally, went out from my job, and then I went into this world of healing. Because you tend to feel, when you're not at the right place, I would say, you feel a lot of suffering, and you feel that there is something inside that passion or that innate desire which is not heard. And that's how even nowadays, and it's very appreciating that people at 40s and 50s are changing their profession and now excelling with it. We see Boman Irani as an actor. He, according to this news and all, he started working around 45. And now he's a very established actor. So people, this midlife crisis, some people come out very easily, but most of the people suffer a lot. Because each time they are not enjoying what they are doing, they are not happy with their own self. And then when you don't know the right way, when you don't get that right help, and you feel bad, you feel dejected, you feel rejected, and then a lot of regret happens. Oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, or I would have understand my feeling at that time, or I would have expressed my feeling that time. So a lot of this regrets goes on. And then, of course, we are carrying a lot from the childhood. We are carrying a lot of traumas, a lot of issues, a lot of emotions which has not been resolved in the then and there in the childhood, and we carried in this late adulthood. And then you, because of those traumas, those unprocessed traumas, you still feel there's a lot of grief happens. a lot of negative self-image happens when a person doesn't want to see his or herself. And then if you do not do intervention there, then the person may go into some very, very serious depression. Also, there is a lot of feeling of insecurities and loneliness. Because after the time when that all that groups go down, and then you earlier when you're enjoying with all those, groups and all those, everything was so happening, party, and then suddenly you feel at a stage when everyone is busy with their own lives. And somehow when you don't have the passion, you're already suffering from the midlife crisis. And then you go with this feeling of sudden loneliness. Ki, oh, I am alone. And sometimes even when you are within the family also, you don't want, or sometimes I am not even aware of my feeling and I'm not able to express myself that I'm feeling lonely. And then there is a feeling that nobody understands me. And of course, when you talk to your kids, they say, Ki, why now suddenly all these issues? Because they have their own things going on. So suddenly person feel a lot of insecurity, a lot of loneliness, fear of aging, big time. Then you have this feeling of loss of my charm and youth, and I cannot run like that, what I earlier used to do. I cannot perform that well in my job and all. And I cannot do this kind of physical activity, which I used to do very, very early. So there's law, and of course, when this fear of aging kicks in, you suddenly feel that my years are getting outnumbered. And a lot of parenting stress happens in this stage. Issue with kids, lot of generational gap issues. You don't understand me, I don't understand you. So a lot of parenting stress do happens. Marital issues nowadays, very, very increasing cases. In after this, I have seen people more and more moving in their 40s, going filing for the divorce, sometimes 50s also. Because suddenly you feel that you don't know this person. And for all this, I was busy with my life, with my job and all. I didn't have time to, understand this person. And now it is getting on my nerves. And suddenly you feel that I need the freedom. So a lot of marital discourses, a lot of divorce start happening. Suppression of emotion coming since childhood, not processing them, now had profounding effect on the mental health as well as physical health also. When I'm suffering from the regrets, when I'm suffering from the grief, when I'm suffering from my identity crisis, and when I'm suffering that I have not fulfilled so many my wishes and desires, and my whole life I have just passed just like that without knowing me, without enjoying my life, then I have lot of things coming to me which I'm not able to process. I don't know how to say. I don't know whom to express and who will listen. Struggling with health issue, another thing. Small things start cropping in. Thinking life is a burden. It's a very, we have this thing, I would say in India, there should not be retirement, because at 60, when you retire somebody, suddenly the person feel, oh, I'm useless. And I'm happy, like many people now just get out from that stigma of 60, because getting retired doesn't mean that you are good for nothing and now you will sit at the home and just read newspaper or see the news. No, 60s is, I would say, new 40s. Now you have the time and passion and lot of things to explore. Nowadays everything is available. Now you can explore your passions, which you might not be able to do for so long. Might be because of the financial issues, family issues. What else can be? Just explore it, and people are doing it and coming out so nicely and so big. Then fear of death. Of course, everybody goes understood, but it increases. If I would ask about fear of death to a 20, they say, yeah, what are you talking about me? I don't have anything. I won't die. People talk like that, they won't die. But if you talk about the death to a 50 and 60, the things start creeping in. Oh, so that is also a person goes under a lot of emotional turmoil. Generational gap, big time. When you talk to any young person, they say, oh, you don't understand. There's a big generational gap. So this is the kind of lot of issues that we face in that late adulthood? What can be done? First and the foremost, self-love. I always and always advocate self-love. Start loving ourselves. Age, I have written, it's just a number. It's never too late. I can explore my passion whenever I want. That's a kahavat, that's a thing, idiom. जब आँख खुले तभी सवेरा समझो. If I am opening my eyes in 60, 70, it's okay. I'll do it. What I want to do it. And I will take care of my body. I will be loving myself. Every day, I would advise whosoever have not read, go and explore Louise Hay in YouTube. She is a lady who is a, kind of a she has done a lot in self-love. And you know what? Just each day, try this thing. Go in front of mirror just for the 5 minutes. Just for 5 minutes. Maybe even 1 minute. Just do it. Go. And just say yourself, hi. Just say your name loud. And just ask, how are you feeling? And then see, are you able to see yourself? Are you able to talk to yourself? This shows that how much over the years you have been with yourself. So self-love is very much important. Self-love, self-care. It doesn't matter how much age you are. It's always and always, I am the most valuable person in my life and I deserve the self-love. I deserve me the best of the thing. Meditation. Meditation, it has very, very different, so many things. Some people say, oh, meditation is just sitting with the breath, of course, focusing on it. Some say it's like Om chanting. Some say a lot of, kind of mantras and all. But I would say whatever you do, just do it. If you don't have time, if you feel it too taxing, some people cannot sit at all. I have seen people and I've been there and, they cannot even sit for the 1 minute. Try. At the starting, it might be difficult, but just at least 10 minutes minimum in a day. Early morning, best. Before going to bed, you can. Focus on your breath. Either do some chanting, focus on some sound, whatever you want, whatever you feel like doing it. Just do it. It will relax your nerves and it prepares you for your next step, for your better living. So try meditating. And then journaling. Always I say to my clients and students, make pen and paper your best friend. Journal it. Journal your emotions. And sometimes you will realize when you're not able to process your emotion, you're not able to understand your emotions. When you journal it, when you write it, you feel instant release. You feel very nice about it. And then you see, oh my God, I have been, under it so many things. You might get some intuition. You might get some solution. Journal it. 10 minutes, enough. Whatever coming to you, don't judge yourself. Oh, I am writing so positive. I'm writing so negative. Just write. Anything, song, anything, whatever coming in your mind, just write it. Empty your mind. That's it. Journaling daily. Living mindfully. You know what? We always live in either past. Oh, this thing has happened then and there. Or maybe in future. Okay, I will do this thing. But we forgot the most important thing, that is present. The present will go and become past and the present will go and become future. So we are not at all giving importance to the present, which is the most important. So live mindfully, live with awareness, self-awareness. That mindfulness, when you're eating something, just see how beautiful is it. We have this habit of unconditionally doing things. We don't know what we are doing. Even we are eating, we're just talking or either seeing phone and TV. We never eat mindfully. Even when walk also, we just walk like this. But if you do it mindfully, even for that 5 minutes, even if you appreciate that food, the color, the thing, then you tend to be more present. Whatever you're doing, even if you're washing utensil, just focus on what is the texture of water coming to you. How does it feel? You're washing, you are taking bath, just feel that drop of water over you. Every moment, even for 5 minutes, start things doing mindfully. Be aware of that present moment and you can see the changes. You'll be able to understand yourself more better. You'll be able to express yourself more better. adopting healthy lifestyle, I would say always take some or the other form of physical exercise, yoga, anything, yoga, gym, whatever you want. Because healthy mind lives in healthy body. We always keep listening from it. We need to do it. Seeking professional help anytime you feel there is some issues, there's something. Never go for a second thought. Always seek professional help. Because if that thing is resolved that time only, you'll be able to come out from the situation in a very better way. Forming meaningful relationships where you can express yourself. Stop aping others. Stop trying to fit in a certain kind of setup. Just form those relationships which you can enjoy, express yourself, and feel connected. So it's a kind of an outlet to you when you're feeling something. Self-acceptance, first and the foremost thing. Accept yourself. Acknowledge your emotions. Okay, I am jealous of that person. It's okay, I'm jealous. Acknowledge it. Don't, keep it suppressed. Oh, no, how can I be jealous? I'm a very good human being. You are a good human being, no doubt about it. But if you, suppress your feeling, it won't go out from your system. It comes within a double phase. And if you accept it, okay, I'm angry. Okay, I feel jealous. Okay, I feel bad. And then say, it's okay, even I feel jealous, but I choose to love and accept myself completely. And you can see sudden release of your emotions, and then it won't bother you again. Positive body talk. Always say to yourself, I'm the best version of myself. I love myself so much. I love my body. However I am, fat, thin, whosoever I am, I love my body. Always do positive body talk. I always advise to my clients, always. Even we tend to say, oh, see, I'm so clumsy. Don't say that. It's okay if things has been fall. It's okay. I'm a human being. I'm not a robot. Imperfections is the real perfection. Always embrace it, I would say. And thank you. This is one of the most beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful for everyone who has so patiently hear me and made me express whatever I want to. Of course, like there are a lot of things to say and tell, but that time frame was not that much that I can go for it. So thank you so much, and everyone. I'm so grateful that everyone had this, spend their beautiful time over my presentation. And thank you, Swati. I think I have done. If anybody wants to ask questions, please welcome. Swati, I'm done, huh?
Dr. Poonam,
Yeah. Hello, sir.
it was very nice. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, sir.
I'm 82 years old. I was so
Wow.
much interested. But see, I want to listen it. Really, I enjoyed it. But basically, I'm an agriculture scientist. I never try to understand the psychology of a people, childhood. Really wonderful the way you are really is so important today. Early age, my old age also. I'm 82. I was thinking, what next? So now, but
Sir, 80s,
daily I'll go for
80s is
yoga.
new 50s.
Daily
Yeah, you're
I
right.
go on.
You're right.
Daily
You're
we'll go
right.
for yoga, and we do laughing and all my age groups. So
Wow.
super seniors, 86 years old also there in my team, 20 people. I got an excellent yoga teacher, honorary Bharati Yoga Samsthana, that is in
Wow.
Park.
Wow.
She helps us, madam. She's 69, but
Wow.
she like you only. She told. Such a wonderful lady. She never take any money and all. She was in Delhi and came
Oh,
back about 10 years back and
wow.
started.
Wow.
Really, I'm enjoying my life. But the only thing is the fear of sometimes I do get heart attack. I do get, but after doing the yoga, I'm feeling a lot of these things. But
Wow.
I do get the negative feelings. But what to do? After all, we are human beings, isn't it?
Yes.
Everything cannot take a positive.
and we cannot do anything. See, it's we need to acknowledge it. Okay,
Yes.
there is there,
Okay.
there is there means there.
That is that.
Then go for the next step. Why
Yes.
to get stuck in that?
It was really a
My
Thank you.
wonderful
grandchildren
session.
also,
Yeah.
he crossed the age, except my granddaughter is 13 years. My grandson, who is in Toronto, is 21 years. Another, I live in Bangalore. Another grandson joined the medicine, but I used to spend a lot of time with them too. Very positive. Since
Yes,
I was managing a coffee board, spices board, around 2,000 employees as a scientist, and I had different types of life, but really
wow.
enjoyed. So really a wonderful lecture. At least I like so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
It
I'm
was
so
I get your
grateful.
indeed a very
ah,
wonderful session, Dr. Poonamji. It was very,
yes,
very
totally.
Thank you,
extraordinary.
Swati.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Poonamji.
You're
Really,
so
Thank you, sir.
bubbly and
great.
nice. You know, it was really nice listening to you
Yes.
because my grandson is 11 and then he
Ah,
goes through this people pleasing, you know.
yes.
So we need to work with him. And yeah, otherwise, as you said, no, it can go into his adulthood also.
Yes, ma'am. Meera, ma'am, I would say, you know, it doesn't require so many setups and all. We just need to give our ear and shoulder to them. That's it. And
Ah,
it's done because, you know, they want to express so much, but
correct.
nobody's there to listen. You know, and also it happens to me. I'm mother of a 2-year-old. She keeps on saying, blabbering so many things so long. I would say, okay, beta, yes, beta. But, you know, as a human being, we also sometimes feel so taxed. But when, you know, we give this and then they come out with that, you know, kind of beautiful things and all, and creativity a lot. So,
Yeah.
of course, this is a very beautiful stages of life, and you know, we have to cherish it. And I would say, like, I have a lot of bond with my grandparents because parents were busy, of course, you know, earning and all, and they were all their heirs. And you know, I used to tell this happened, that happened, school, this thing, and I thought it's so enjoyable, and we need to enjoy it.
And as you said, those days our grandparents and people, they used to listen also. We used to spend
Yes.
such good time also.
Yes,
Isn't
yes.
it? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I think
Thank
you can put your number in the thing, so chat box, so we can all have it. Is it okay?
Yes, Meera ji, you can take from Swati. Swati, kindly
Sure,
Swati,
give my
sure.
number to
please,
Meera ji. You know,
Sure.
you can always
I'll do that.
take from Swati. And I'm so grateful. Such a wonderful people have been there and all eyed to my presentation.
Thanks to Swati because she brings people like you to this forum.
Thank you,
She's really
Swati.
good.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Swati, yes.
So nice to
Thank you,
hear.
Swati.
I think she deserves a big applause.
Swati, thank you very much for this inviting. This, you know, like every
Thank
time
you,
I
sir.
used to
Thank
get
you
the
so much.
invitation, but only
It's not only
these
me,
things.
the
Okay,
School
sorry.
of Ancient Wisdom operates like this, and see, this
Yes.
is the essence of the school where we connect the healers and the seekers. Everybody should
Yes.
share their knowledge, experience,
Yes.
so that
I'm so fortunate.
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
fortunate to, you know, having this wonderful opportunity to be associated with such a wonderful and the prestigious organization.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's-
so
it
much.
is-
Thank you. We enjoyed your
Thank you.
session.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's like
See you all in the next
it is a
session.
music to my eyes, you know, receiving lot of this beautiful things from such a big dignitaries, and you know, when everyone is amazing in itself, and then you know, you listen a lot of things, so it's always good. Thank you so much.
You said we are all human beings, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
No
Yes.
big kid, no small, all big, all the same.
Totally. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So much, ma'am. So I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful
All
for
right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. We shall
Thank you, Dr.
next
Poonam.
Thursday.
I would like to get a copy of your speech from the
Sure,
this
sir.
one,
I'll
Swati,
upload it
so
right.
that I want to show to my.
I'll upload
Okay.
it.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay, please.
Swati, you want to
Thank you.
give the vote of thanks?
So nice.
Ma'am, you can
God
go ahead
bless
if you
you,
would like
Poonam.
to.
Okay.
No, Swati, you go ahead. Yeah, do it this time,
Please go ahead.
So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Poonam for this wonderful session, and you know, this impacts the society, and the small things also we have to address so that it should not be a, you know, blockage in the next steps of the life. So we seek this and we hear this and we adopt this from now on. And thank you so much for Dr. Poonam for giving us this
Thank you.
wonderful insights. And yes,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Looking forward
I'm so
for
grateful.
more.
I'm so- Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Good night.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone. I'm so grateful.
Do you have the
Okay.
sessions every Thursday? Because somebody gave me the Zoom ID, and that's why I joined.
Yes,
First
please
time.
drop your phone number in the chat box. I'll add it to the group.
Okay. I
Swati
don't know how to do
Sarvejana.
that. I don't know.
Okay. Vandana, you can drop your number in the chat box, as Swati says.
I
She will
don't
add
know how
you.
to do it. I'm a senior citizen. I'm living
Okay.
alone. I don't-
Okay.
If I
Can
have
you?
any of
You can
your
tell your
number, then
number,
I
I'll type it.
Okay. Kindly tell your number, Vandana ji. Kindly tell your number.
can 959
Swati, are you writing?
Yeah,
Should I
yeah.
write?
959
44
44
55
55
725.
725. I've put it in the chat
I
box,
have
so
put
it
it in the
will
chat
remain with me.
Somebody gave me this ID. That's why I joined today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And do you all have
Swati,
the sessions every Thursday?
Dr. Poonam's number also put up, please.
Every Thursday, you
Sure,
all have
sure.
this
I'll
session.
do that, ma'am.
Do you all have the sessions every Thursday?
Yes.
Yes.
We have
Every
sessions
Thursday,
every
6:30.
Thursday on the same
Okay.
Zoom link. The meeting ID
Okay.
and the password remains the same, but the speakers
Okay.
changes.
It came on WhatsApp. Somebody sent me, so I just thought, let me see what it is. It was very good because I have gone through a lot of childhood trauma myself, so I know what it is.
So I
Vandana
have
ji,
dropped
it is-
Dr.
it's a very
Poonam
big
number in the
thing.
chat box. You can also
Yeah,
please have a look at it.
Yeah, my number is there. Swati has just written. Kindly, whosoever wanted can connect with me. I'm all available.
I cannot see her.
And I can
Ma'am,
even
kindly write it.
I'll add all the details, her email ID, her Instagram, and her phone number on YouTube if she permits. So even you can get it from
Yeah.
there also.
Yeah, Swati, kindly do give them. And like I have my Instagram ID, so with there I post lot of things. I try to accommodate
Sure.
whatever I can see
I-
on the things,
I'll do that
So you
on
can
the
kindly
YouTube
take from
description.
Swati.
Yeah.
Okay, so your Instagram is also same, Dr. Poonam.
No. That's the ID is different. Ma'am, you can take from Swati. Swati, kindly do share
Sure, I'll do
with
that.
Meera ma'am and Vandana ji.
Yeah, I'll do that. So, ma'am, soon after this, I'll upload it on the YouTube, and in the YouTube description, we'll be having all those things. So you can take it
Sure,
directly
sure.
from there also, and you can connect with her.
Swati, in that thing, YouTube, don't write my number.
Okay.
This is the personal one. Just give it to Meera ji and Vandana ji.
Sure,
Just you can write my Instagram ID and YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And my email ID.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Swati, you want to
Thank you
enter
very
the
much.